Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, folks, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome. Welcome back to the Light 'em Up Lounge. Thanks for joining us for a very special live show, a very special evening that we have prepared. And we have not one special guest, but we have our entire lounge full with special guests for tonight. It's a privilege to host the UK Aficionadas group, and many of the wonderful ladies who are part of that community are here with us today, and we'll talk about the wonderful initiative, the community. We'll talk about some of the individual stories of all the ladies joining us. But thanks again to all of you for taking the time and being here with us today. For everybody watching us on the YouTube live stream, please make yourselves heard. Put your thoughts and questions into the comments, and I'll happily forward them to our special guests for the evening. So without further ado, thank you so much. And I just, share that to the entire group and to everybody joining us here at the lounge. Thank you very much to the UK Aficionadas. We have Rosalie Barber here with us today. We have Amy in the room. Yenny is with us. Alexa. Um, we have Karen, who's here. Maria. Sarah Saunders just joined us. Tatya, I believe, is part of the group as well. And we even have a special guest. I don't know if Melissa, you're officially part of the whole gang, but you're here. So welcome and thanks for joining us as well. Fabulous to have you all. Rosalie, we had the privilege and the pleasure of sort of organizing the whole gathering. So allow me the privilege and the pleasure of starting with you. Very special thanks to you, of course, for putting all of this together. Tell us a little bit about the UK Aficionadas and how this wonderful community came to life, how it all came to be. You just very successfully completed your first physical event in the UK, so I'm curious to learn more about that. But talk us through how the whole thing came to life, and I'm curious to learn more about the community.
Well, first of all, thank you, Reinhard, for giving us this platform to introduce ourselves as the UK Aficionadas. We used to be referred to UK Ladies Aficionados, but recently a lady who is a very smart gave us an advice like, why don't we call us as UK Aficionadas rather than UK Ladies Aficionados? I think they have the same, they refer to the same brand. However, we are taking the UK Aficionadas, and that is actually from Karen. And thank you, Karen, for that. And we're taking the UK Aficionadas instead of the UK Ladies Aficionados. So how did we came up with finally organizing an event? It's been 5 years that I've joined the business. Obviously, you know, I'm from Harrogate and I work in the business. I work with my husband, James Barber, and we've been doing a lot of events. And first, I might be the only one attending the event, and my stepdaughter, Alicia. And then I said, this is not right. And then obviously I get a lot of looks, strange looks like, why you are smoking with men or why you are here, something like that. But luckily, in the group that I am in, I am welcomed. But I heard a lot of some feedback from other women that in some other cases, it's not the same. So what I did in our community, every time a woman walks into the shop, I would say, come and join the event. Come and see what's happening. Come and join your husband. And from then on, women, you know, we multiplied the women coming to our events. And I had that dream that one day we'll be able to do that in a bigger event wherein it's an exclusive for women. But it's been a while. It took about 5 years before we were invited an event by Davidoff, and I met Amy, Alexa, and then Yenny afterwards. And then obviously Alexa and Martina met as well in a Davidoff event. And with that force of enthusiasm and energy from these women, and with the inspiration of the other women that we have already been looking at or looking up to, like Sarah Saunders, Karen, Gemma Freeman, and the others, in the online platform. It made us realize, like, this is the time. This is the time to actually finally organize an event. And I cannot do that without help. I cannot do it on my own because I don't have all these skills. You need different skills to be able to actually come up with an event. And here comes Alexa, Martina, Yenny, Amy, and then with the help of Roy as well from Davidoff. And that's how we come together. I think at first we just want to have fun. Like, come on, let's go and have fun, smoke cigars. And suddenly, everything evolved. Everything evolved. While we were organizing the event, we come to realize we can actually make a difference in the cigar world. And that's how we did the event of the International Women's Day. And let me just give it to the other ladies to give their own why we were able to get into this platform now.
Please, with great pleasure.
Thank you.
So I think, so I don't know if you can actually hear me because I'm having troubles, but is it, yeah? Okay,
Just
good.
fine.
Okay, good. So I think for me, for example, I don't have a huge experience about the ladies in the UK because many of you know I just recently moved like 6-7 months ago to Edinburgh. But one thing I know for sure, and it's something that we share when I was living in Spain, for example, or even in here, is the same thing, and it doesn't have to, and it's not related exactly. So with the country, is it? And it's that women don't completely feel it's still today in 2025 completely empowered, and they still have people saying, well, maybe this is not for me, or maybe sometimes I go to the places so I don't feel. So I think that that's the main reason why we decided actually to do this, like to create this safe space and to actually being more seen in these kind of scenarios when people see, and they the people, we started being like, I don't know, 20s in the beginnings, and now I'm almost 60, which means, and it's of course a proof that there's more women outside, there's more women there wanting to join, wanting to learn, wanting to enjoy this cigar, completely and free of any, I don't know, judgment or feeling just empowered. So I think that was the main thing where we got it together and we started talking, Rosalie, me, and Alexa one time in Thompson Cigars, and we said, oh, so this is a common thing. This is not just one or two women thinking, well, maybe it's my idea, or maybe there is a pattern there. So I think that was the main reason why, okay, we need to do something, and it's a moment with all the growing scenario in the whole world about the women that taking places and spaces. This is the moment to actually give it a voice to it. So I think that was the main thing in that moment.
Well, Yanni, I think you brought up a very important point, is that even though it should be self-explanatory and we shouldn't even have to talk about it, we shouldn't even have to create specific circles or networks or community for men, for women. We're all one big cigar family, right? And I think that from day one, I specifically wanted to make the Light 'em Up world and community in the lounge an open and an inclusive platform where there is no prejudice, there are no misconceptions or stereotypes, and we're all one. It's one big cigar family. That's the beauty of the product. It's all about time and it's about togetherness. So on the one hand, my heart is a little torn because I always feel like this shouldn't even be an argument. But then at the same time, as you rightfully said, still to this day, we unfortunately experience that it's not always the case that even a cigar lounge or an event is as inclusive as we would like it to be. And we don't have the same presence of female cigar enthusiasts and of aficionadas at some of these events or communities and in the shops and lounges as we would like. And hence, I think it's very important that we can do a show like the one today to share with the world. And, we have people joining us from Southeast Asia all the way to the West Coast on the US, that they understand there are very strong platforms, community initiatives, incentives for ladies who enjoy a cigar, and that In fact, we want to get to a point where it's irrelevant whether you're a male or a female cigar enthusiast. We're a big cigar community. But kudos to all of you for creating that initiative and shedding some light on the strength of the female cigar community, in this case, particularly in the UK, but we know there are plenty more out there. And hopefully the show today can even serve as an inspiration for many others to follow suit and probably jump on similar initiatives in their own respective areas and neck of the woods. With that being said, why don't you tell us a little more about the event itself that happened and how the group is currently structured, organized, how this whole community is held together and glued together, not just by your passion and enthusiasm for cigars, but also in terms of the actual, maybe more tangible and technical little details that make such a community work and function. And please, to everybody here joining us from the UK Aficionadas, feel free to unmute yourselves and chime in at any given moment. Usually we have one special guest or maybe two, but we have a whole group today. So just feel free to chime in at any given moment, and please speak up whenever convenient for you.
I mean,
I think
about the event.
good. No, yeah, I was actually about to show that like Francis can speak a little bit more about goals, and then I can take it from there. Don't worry.
You go first, darling.
First of all, to create an event with many women who all have their own life and they have families and work, it's already difficult, which makes a bit difficult. Is also in harder. Is everybody is like a bit spread, in the whole UK, because not everybody lives in London, even though the event was there. So Rosalie, sorry, Rosalie is like one of the soul of this event, and she was the one who started to gather everybody. So I think she can actually explain a little bit better how we set the goals and how we set the event in the beginning.
I mean, for me, it's so important to include everyone. The people that I knew since I joined the business, that will be like almost 6 years ago now. I wanted everyone to be in here. But since there was already, before I actually joined this group, there was already an existing WhatsApp group wherein Amy, I think, was already there, and Alexa, Martina, and some other ladies who have been very, very close to me because they are in the cigar industry. So saying that, it was still difficult to grab all these ladies to like, let's go do it. So I needed to wait for a certain time to meet the ladies who will like step up and actually like, come on, Rosalie, let's do this. And it took a while actually, because that was like last year and we only have the event last Saturday. So it is not easy, especially we work full time. So at the event last Saturday, how refreshing it is to meet Sarah Saunders, whom I think she was the first one I've watched, and also Karen. I was watching them on WICC during the lockdown. But it was so refreshing to be actually on an event with these ladies instead of just in the Zoom, because you feel the warmth, you feel the actual support, and just giving the hugs on these women, like, yeah, we belong together. And we know that we can make as one, we will be stronger. We have the power to make a difference. Not because we want to be like dominating the men. No, we just want to have a space, or we actually have a space. However, we want to make a difference because there are some gaps in there that the women can actually create in our own, bubbles. We can actually create something wherein we can empower one person, two person. It doesn't matter how many, even just one, as long as we can make a difference for one person. Because honestly, the lockdown created a lot of trauma for everyone, not just for women, but also for men. And I think we acknowledge these gaps wherein the cigar that actually unite us isn't it? Can actually be a medium wherein we can get these women together and then create a purpose. And while we were doing the organization of this event, we were able to realize like, oh my God, there's so many things that we can actually do with all these women, not just here in the UK, but maybe we can also like collaborate with other people, with other ladies from other countries later on, one step at a time.
I think as well, just to add to that, we started off with just, I think it was 20 spaces for the event. We had sold out pretty quickly, and we did get an overwhelming amount of ladies that were still interested and still looking for tickets to the event. So having had that kind of response, it's great for us because we know that there's a market for this and we, really want to take it further.
Beautiful and very impressive, I have to say. Now, one thing that I'm curious about, Rosalie, you mentioned your very close, in fact, probably the closest connection to James Barber Tobacconists in Harrogate, which for those of you who haven't been or don't know it, it's a fantastic cigar shop that deserves your attention and needs to be checked out. So if you ever happen to be in England, make your way there and visit Rosalie and James, the wonderful couple at the helm of Barber's Tobacconist. Jenny, you're in Edinburgh, as you said, relatively recently, but also representing a magnificent cigar shop and lounge in Edinburgh at the Puffing Rooms. So part of you are in the industry. Some of you are just avid cigar aficionados and consumers. For all of you, though, looking at it from two different sides, on the sort of purveyor side and on the consumer side, what is important for you and what are the things that you're looking for as a cigar enthusiast when you walk into a cigar shop, when you sit at a cigar lounge, or when you go to a cigar event? What are some of the things that you would like to see? What are some of the things that you're looking for that maybe some of the operators aren't aware of, or they just don't get them right for whatever reason?
So I think, sorry, do you want to go?
No, you go first.
Okay. I think this, well, they have a lot of ways to go through this, but I think that one of the main purpose that we have actually has a group and in being women's is also to be properly seen and treated in the same way, in the same inclusivity that to treat like other customer. In this case, is a male. And this is, I want to say this and point this out. This is not a fight against, and this is not a problem that we have with any males. That's not the thing here. The thing is that when we talk about it between us, and we realize that everybody have the same experiences with retailers, with cigar launches, and so there's a improvement then that you need to do something. And for example, when you go to a cigar store, when you go to retail, and you're a woman, and they already give you choices like, petite coronas or mild cigar or coronas like that, even though there is actually a study for international women cigar that 67% of women prefer Robusto or larger cigars, but they go and they take us to petite coronas and things like that because they assume, based on the gender, that this is what we need, or this is what more ladylike or something like that. So this is certain kind of behaviors that we think that it makes us feel uncomfy in a way when you go to a retailers, when you go to a lounge, for example, and people looked at you and they stare at you and they are questioning, the whole time things that you do, the way you smoke, and things like that, which they don't do, for example, when male. So this certain kind of behaviors is what makes us believe that, of course, there is a problem there. There's a problem.
I mean, Alexa also works in a cigar shop. Can you say something about it, Alexa?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm work in Tom Tom Cigars in Belgravia. Actually, yes, we are in, we sell there more Cuban cigars, and a lot of, now that I'm working over there, I'm bringing you a lot of ladies, like friends, and it's nice to see women's in lounges and feel confidence as well. That sometimes we feel, a bit of a bit of chimes to go to some lunches and to expect some answer. Okay, you should smoke this type of cigars. And actually, we can try everything. We are the same, people that like men's, women's. It's just we want to feel like the same of others that don't, oh, you are a woman, like why you are here. Or sometimes they don't, people don't say that things, but with express or faces. But we are working in this to be you know to accept for everyone, and not just think about, oh, they should smoke this type of cigars, or they should even don't smoke. It's like
Well,
yes,
say hello to Sarah and Karen over there. I could see you.
hello.
Hi.
Our sisters.
May I just say hi to everybody, and just to say that from a consumer perspective, I think what's interesting is, going to a cigar event is a very different. It's a very different experience to being in a lounge. So it's about, for me. So for me as a consumer, just for the focus and the difference. I'm interested in people, and I'm interested in cigars. So cigars are the common bond that brings us all together. And one of the things that's really exciting about meeting new groups of people, and it was overwhelming last weekend to meet so many people, so many women who, I hate to say it, but when I formed the Women's International Cigar Club, many of the people at the event last Saturday were probably still at school, which kind of speaks volumes to me, really, and that made me feel quite proud. But the fact is that, people and cigars are a wonderful combination. And if you have a cigar in your hand, you have the time to talk to people. I mean, if you're at home and you take the time to smoke a cigar on your own and just enjoy the peace and the meditation of it, which I do frequently, that's one thing. But getting together with people in a group, and that's what I think so great about UK Aficionadas, is that gathering of women from all different backgrounds and places to find out about lives and their lives, and how the cigars brought them into the place where they're in right now. Because
Well, thank you for coming to inspire our group. Knowing your
my
15
pleasure.
years, 15 years of going to Cuba and all, especially organizing the Women's International Club. That is amazing. And we look up into that. And obviously, you are our number one, to look up to whenever we do our event. And we'll always, as I've said in the event, we are your core group, that when you're doing something, we are there. We're always there. So it's I think it's we made something around here in this at this juncture.
Well, you said it earlier, Rosalie, we're stronger together. We absolutely are stronger together. And whether you're industry or whether you're consumer or I just think that it's a small community, isn't it? Really and truly, it's a small world, the cigar world, in actual fact. And if we're all together in it, then it's a much more interesting place, I think. So
yes, we are in here together. So whatever your goals in there will be also realized within this group. And as we promise you in our event, that we'll always be a support group of WICC, because WICC is big. And we cannot just jump out of a small one. So we are here to actually support whatever is your you know, whatever will be your future plans for WICC. And I think you are celebrating your 15 years anniversary very soon as well.
We are. But yeah, no, and having that support's brilliant, and to know that there's a really strong group of people here in the UK to support that work is fantastic. There'll be all sorts of different things happening, you know. And the thing is that groups change, don't they? The reason for being changes. So I think what's fabulous is that as Amy was saying, you know, that from 20 people who signed up to come to a lunch last week, now there's, you know, there's scores more people involved now, and new projects about to happen. So, you know, these things can build very rapidly. There's an incredible amount of enthusiasm, and that was infectious last weekend. So
it is, it's really infectious, and we're so lucky that we're surrounded with this young ladies, or I would say aficionadas around us, who are like, they are the driving force of this whatever purpose we are trying to convey.
Well, I think in terms of the challenges that face us within the cigar world here in the UK, it's really important that we're mindful of the future, and you know, to know that this is that the UK Aficionadas might be here in 10 years' time is a really important thing to think about. These things are for the long game, in my view.
It is a long game. So once we commit, we have to continue on.
Mm-hmm.
Karen, I believe you were next, having your hand up. We'll go through all of your comments and questions, of course. But Karen, first of all, it's great to see you again, and thanks for joining. But
thank you for having us. And we had a brilliant, I mean, predominantly fun weekend last weekend. What I wanted to say, I'm really proud of is there's a lot. I mean, I'm in a lot of cigar groups. You guys, lots of people here have herfed with me before online. Ray, Albert, you know, and frequently I'm the only lady in the Zoom room, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But it was really, really great to be able to create imagery, thank you, Usman, of an entire group of women. So rather than just, you know, like my Instagram or Sarah's Instagram or Rosalie's Instagram saying, yeah, you know, it's okay to be a woman smoker, this is like, oh shit, there's loads of them out there. Look, there's a whole bunch. There's a I don't know, we call it a capability of sottles. There's a whole capability of sottles there. Maybe it's not such a unicorn sport, you know. If I want to try it, it's not just me and that one other woman. There's a whole bunch of them. Look, and that imagery is really important to be able to share in the UK, because we are quite spread out. Yeah. You know, if you walk into a lounge, there's not going to be 20 other women. There might be 2, there might be 3. And it's really great to be able to show a collective united front, I suppose. It's not about you know, worrying about going into a lounge. And I genuinely don't think women get treated 10 years ago. Yes, I don't think women get treated that differently walking into a lounge now as they used to. There might be the odd, you know, one incident every year or whatever, but it's nothing like it used to be. But the real thing is how do you encourage cigar curious women, and how you know, make them feel like they're not taking up, you know, something that's inherently male. And the imagery that we managed to create at the event, I think, will really help that. That was all I was going to say. Thank you. Bye.
Don't say goodbye.
I'm still here, but that's it.
You.
Thank you, Karen. Very, very valid point. Hazel, welcome.
Hazel.
Oh, hi. Sorry about that. Yeah, first I just want to say thank you so much for creating the space. And especially Rosalie. As Rosalie knows, I have actually relocated from the US to a Crown dependency. And I started off as an enthusiast and went into the industry. And it was extremely frustrating because my experience, even though it's legally not UK, it's the Isle of Man, but my experiences in the UK were not really as welcoming. I think Amy or someone said my husband, who happens to be Scottish, held a Zoom call before I moved over, and the first comment that was made was, "Why is there a woman on this call?" And this was 2 years ago. But that being said, what I really loved outside of that was that everybody else has been like really welcoming. And you might be surprised to know that even though I was born and raised in New York, as much as it's people here have been like welcoming, and I kind of grew up in the cigar community over here, there is still like a weird stigma. I see it in places that I've gone to where people aren't familiar. I've had people ask me, as someone who sells cigars, and the only reason I'm kind of I guess I've been kind of like schooled in terms of how to deal with it is because I actually came through the whiskey industry. So I know it's a different industry, but certain groups I'm in, for example, our Whiskey Foundation, which has a UK presence, one thing they actually did was they created media images of women drinking whiskey so that anybody could use it. Any small brands that didn't have like marketing could use it. And what I really loved, I have to admit, Rosalie, I didn't tell you this, I was slightly nervous because I didn't know anyone there. And I was like, are they going to like me? Am I going to be too American? I don't know enough about cigars as much as some of the other ladies, but it was so great and it was so welcoming. And I really liked the fact that there is a component in terms of welcoming both the consumer and the industry and taking action. So I just wanted to say thanks. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this grow. Oh, sorry. I think the last thing, I think that Rosie is aware that the community that welcomed me, which was a New York City based community. I've actually spoken to the guy that started it, who came from the West Coast. And they are very interested. And I know they spoke to Rosalie about having people that are part of that community actually come to the UK. They want to know, where they should go, taking the trips, doing collaborations and things like that. So thank you, everybody, for having me on this call.
Thank you, Hazel. They already messaged me, so I think there's a lot of work to do very soon.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go back on mute because I'm actually in New York now and there's like sirens around, so so I'm gonna kill people with that background.
Amy, back to you.
I think that I'm gonna probably repeat what a lot of people have said already, but I'm not in the industry. I don't work for like a cigar company or anything like that. So for me, I'll give a little bit of a background story. So I had my first cigar in 2013, and it was very taboo for a woman to be smoking cigars, especially in my eyes and how I was treated. And it took me all the way up until COVID to bring myself to, have another cigar after that. And I think I went to my first event alone and I had met one woman. But having met her, I met like a string of other ladies, which was really great. And all of these ladies that I met have made me feel so comfortable. Um, I work in the domestic violence field, so I do a lot of empowerment. I do a lot of the empowerment side anyway. So when Rosalie said to me, like, be a part of this group, I jumped at the chance because in my experience, especially walking into a lounge, you want to feel comfortable. And I think, as Jenny said, like oftentimes, even now, even though I've been to the cigar lounges many times, it's like when I'm there to choose a cigar, they would just assume that I don't know anything or I've never smoked before. And I think that I would like to see that sort of change. But yeah, the greatest thing about this whole thing that's happening right now with what we're doing is meeting so many other women. Again, with the event, it was so great to see everyone. And it was just comfortable.
Mhm.
And I think we need more of that. We need a lot more feelings of comfort.
That's a wonderful comment, Amy, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. That again, I repeat myself, but it shouldn't even be an argument or a point of discussion that when you walk into a cigar shop or lounge, you're treated just exactly as every other male customer who walks through the door. And I always laugh, and I always crack a smile when you see that stereotypical conversation unfold when a lady walks into the humidor and whoever's working the register or the humidor is trying to sell them a flavored cigar or something small and uninspired. And then the lady gives some proper pushback and tells him that she probably knows a lot more about cigars than he does, and that you'd better treat your customers properly. And I think that's very, very important and most definitely a part of training and education on behalf of the retailers. At the same time, my background is in the hospitality industry and experience design. So I always wondered why not more retailers or cigar lounge operators focus on the small little details that make for the overall experience, whether that's the music, the lighting, the furniture, how clean the whole place is run, all the way to the bathrooms, which everybody in the hospitality industry knows that's how you really tell a good restaurant or a bar, is how the whole freaking toilet looks. Um, and those are the little things that I would imagine, and without trying to sound pretentious in any way, but I hope that you would agree. These are probably the things that women are looking for as well when going to a shop or a lounge, because you have the finesse, you have the elegance and the sensitivity for those kind of things, which, to be frank, a lot of men oftentimes overlook or they just don't care enough about, which is a shame to begin with. But that's just how I feel, that sometimes just focusing on these little elements and having proper music, lighting, furniture, cleanliness could do a lot in terms of being more welcoming to the female cigar community. And I hope that you would agree, and I hope that a lot of operators listen and start focusing on these little things, because they don't have to cost anything, but they can make an awful lot of difference.
That's one thing that was really lovely about the event, is the amount of sponsors that Rosalie and the rest of the team managed to pull together. Because I don't know, I put a post up, some of you will have seen it, some of you won't. I mean, you don't go to an event for swag. That's not why you go to an event. But the fact that 10 companies all said, oh yeah, we'll back that, that's like saying they're backing female smoking. It's not, which is something that is very heartening. You know, a whiskey brand, I mean, really smoky, blew my head off whiskey, is like, yeah, I'll sponsor a women's event. You know, that sounds something 20 years ago, you know, we'd have had like lipsticks and something with Diamante on it and possibly, you know, some free tampons or something. It's great that we've actually got some sort of serious industry recognition, that I'd say.
Honestly, we got more sponsors who want to give us things in the gift bags. And I said, we are not a greedy group yet. We don't like to be greedy. I said, please wait for the next event because we would need more help in the future. And today, I got a really good call from a distributor. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but they gave me a call and they said, we want to support you in your next event. And I said, oh my God, this is it. This is really happening. And I'm just so happy that they actually recognize that we can actually have an impact also in this industry. Maybe mainly also to strengthen the industry, but also to give us a support as women. And I said, you know, I truly appreciate that offer. But I said, please wait for the next event because we are yet to formally organize the group. And that I think will be a question from Reinhard very soon. So we'll see. I'll give the table for you, Reinhard.
Well, you know, I can only throw that right back at you all, because really we need to hear from you and we need to learn from you all. I'm wondering, like, what do you think in general that we all as a cigar community can do better in order to be more welcoming and more inclusive when it comes to female cigar smokers? Um, And to a certain degree, I refer back to my opening statement where I said it shouldn't even be a point of discussion, right? But at the same time, we need to make it a point of discussion. So how can we be sensitive towards that and find a good balance between making it an important point of conversation, but at the same time also making it effortless and almost self-explanatory that we're one big family.
Think I would say a modern smoker, because I just joined 5 years ago. I did not feel a lot of pressure from going to a cigar lounge. I think we were all, so far on my own experience, because I think maybe somebody already knows me, or somebody I know is a manager of a cigar lounge. That's why we were treated very well. But those who are consumers, who are just walking into the place, we want to help them. So one of our project is to actually get in touch from the UK Aficionadas, to get in touch to all the cigar lounges to make sure that women are treated the same way like men, or even better, I must say. Women should be treated better, I would say, because we are fragile. And I think that's one of the most important thing that we need to do. Get in touch with all the retailers, cigar retailers and cigar lounges. Maybe create a letter telling them that, please, can you please create a good space for any lady cigar smokers walking into your cigar lounge or cigar shops. I think that would be possible, because sometimes maybe a staff would not think about it. You know what I mean? Like, nobody tells them, they will not do it. So I think it's just like ring the bell and someone will answer. Because if no one will do that, no one will know that they're not doing the right thing. Because as you have said a while ago, it should not be a question, but it can be a question for the others who walk in, who actually not recognize, or nobody knows about them in the shop that they're walking in. And we heard a lot about that from other women. So I think that's one of the project from the UK Aficionadas, making sure that ladies should be treated at the same level like men. And yeah, we have a lot in the list, but we can only, speak one or a few of these projects that we are in the list. It's a lot.
Step by step.
One of the things that I believe that is going to help us as a group and as a women's to feel also more comfy and to feel empowered when we go into a lounge or retailer is its knowledge. So this is something that I believe that is really important. It's something that I think is a pillar in our group, and it's that we also want to encourage matches classes. We want to have parents when our women's since the start with, they can know regions and difference and what's the difference between one and another. I don't know, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, we can have pairings. It doesn't have to be, alcohol, but we can have tea, we can have coffee, things that actually make great pairings with cigars. But I think the education is one of the first things that we need to do and we want to do in every single event that we have. It has to be some point with you actually take knowledge with you, and this is going to make you feel better, and it's going to make you feel stronger when you go into the cigar lounge, because you know what you're talking about, you know what is happening there, and it's going to make you feel empowered, I think.
Yeah, I want to share one point actually, that might not even be considered. And it's also been my experience. We had a ladies event that it's not just women. Our ladies event, and it was a certain part of the lounge I was in. There were some men that were nearby that were listening because they were doing a cigar 101, and they admitted that they had just walked into the lounge. They were tourists, and they thought it was interesting to get the information. But as men that didn't have cigar knowledge, they were afraid to ask. But when they saw the women's event, they kind of figured they were going to wander over. So I think the other thing to think about is, while, we are the ladies aficionadas, there are people out there that just might want to learn, and they might want to know when they could be men, and they just don't feel comfortable because of the idea of the stereotype. So I'd like to think that we're kind of like just helping anybody, whether you're male, female, or what have you, that's just new. I forgot he mentioned that. Just anybody that just wants to learn or wants to know, you know.
We do have that in our minds. The thing is, we want to, I mean, we don't want to keep, we want to keep our club as a women's club.
Yeah, no. I just meant like that people, I don't think people always think about that when they see like lady aficionadas. They don't
makes sense.
You know,
makes sense. But we do have that. We want to include in the future, but that is not the main reason right now, to be honest, right now at least. But we do want to include them, of course, because that's one of the reasons, and that is one of the ways to actually show inclusivity to them too. So so this is something that I saw, but now in the beginning, we want to first establish us and being a little bit more, you know, secure about what we want to do between us, and then we can, you know, expand all that to everybody, mostly because we are starting. So I think that's how we need to create a solid base first, and then
Maria
we can go.
Something. Maria.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I was just going to add something from the consumer perspective. When you were asking Reinhardt, you know, what sort of things could folks in the sales business do differently, that sort of thing. I think open-ended questions are really helpful. You know, what sort of cigar are you looking for? And that will let you know whether or not the person who's just walked in knows nothing and is getting the cigar for the first time, or if they've been smoking for 30 years and you just wouldn't necessarily know that. And questions about, you know, if they say, oh, I'm looking for this particular brand, well, what draws you to that brand? And so sort of making conversation and showing interest. And I'll give a quick little story of how I met Rosalie. You know, I had come from the States and I had to bleed all my lighters. I couldn't carry full lighters, so I needed butane rather badly to go to a pub crawl where we were going to smoke cigars in December. And I saw this tobacconist shop. And I popped in and asked if they sold butane, and Rosalie said, oh, what are you going to use it for? And of course it's for a lighter, but her way of sort of engaging me and saying, well, what, tell me more about you and your draw to butane. And that led to me talking about how I love cigars, and she had event handouts right there. And so that showing interest is a good way of bridging that gap of uncertainty. Because I think a lot of times, if every cigar sort of shop owner, if you will, were to watch this and say, oh gosh, now what am I supposed to assume? Am I supposed to assume the person knows nothing? Am I supposed to assume that they're aficionadas? Like what am I supposed to do? There are certain little open-ended questions I think that could be asked to gauge that pretty quickly. So that's all I was going to add. I'm enjoying the call.
Excellent, excellent point, Maria. Thank you so much for sharing that. And quite frankly, you know, I think that's how every single customer walking into a retail environment should be treated, right? With a keen interest on behalf of whoever's working the store, just trying to learn more about the other person in front of them and how you could serve them better or help them find what they're looking for, or even something that they didn't know they were looking for, but you make it so interesting and comfortable for them that they discover something new. And again, I think a lot is to be learned in terms of hospitality, taking care of your customer. And you made excellent points, Maria. 100% agreed, wholeheartedly.
Right,
Good.
Reinhardt.
Oh,
sorry.
sorry,
Can I
please.
just jump in with one little thing there? One of the
Please.
things that I've talked to Karen about a lot, and Karen is very keen on this point, which is about how we sort of get people enthusiastic who might even not know that they were interested for the first in any case. So for sake of argument, you know, you're in a group of people, they see you smoking a cigar, they've never smoked a cigar, and you wouldn't necessarily talk to them about it, because we're not in the business of pushing tobacco on people. That's not what we do. But it's about trying to engage people in your own passion and trying to share your own stories. So whether you're in a lounge or a shop, or whether you're just amongst a group of friends, it's actually okay to just say, this is how I got involved and this is why I enjoy it. And it's really a simple pleasure in that sense. And sharing that story is usually a very persuasive thing, and persuasive in the sense that it might encourage someone to be more curious, or indeed want to try. and it's not it doesn't put somebody in a difficult position. It's not pressurized.
Great point. On that note, Sarah, allow me to share a personal experience and an observation, I should rather say, that I've made, and I'm curious to learn from all of you whether you think about it similarly or whether you've had similar realizations. My inner circle of close friends and fellows that I spend time with um, seem to be into cigars, and I know that not all of them were before I got even more interested in cigars, and I became more vocal about my enjoyment of cigars towards them also, inviting them to share that pleasure with me, have that special moment of breaking bread, sharing a cigar, and having a conversation. How do you feel about that amongst your female friends? Is there a slight hesitation towards being vocal or introducing your cigar enjoyment to your friends, or do you make the same observation that over time there seems to be a natural shift of your inner circle and your close friends to lean more towards cigar enjoyment themselves?
Personally, because I've been involved in the as a passionate and a passionada for so long, I seem to be a bit of a go-to now. I'm wheeled out at parties as the cigar woman. So I do the performing pony ping, but I think
Get a cigar.
in the earlier days it was very much a kind of yeah, it was a bit strange. People thought it was a bit odd, perhaps, if I was smoking. And I didn't really talk about it too much to people because I didn't want to upset them. But I think now I am just quietly confident in my own enjoyment of it. And I've always taken the view that if people are interested, they'll ask questions. And if you inspire one person at an event or in a party that what you're doing is enjoyable and they're curious to know more about it, then that's a lovely thing, because the community just got bigger, and that's fantastic. And to be knowledgeable about it to some degree is great, but you also don't have to be knowledgeable. If you're honest about your knowledge and just say, well, actually, I don't really know, but I really enjoy it. It's like, I love whiskey. I know the whiskeys I like. I mean, I know more about wine. I know even more about Armagnac. But, it's like you have to just be where you're at in life. And as long as you're open and honest about that, other people will step in and fill the gaps of the knowledge and share what they have to know. And that's part of the pleasure and the excitement of the cigar world, to me, is meeting people with so many different experiences. It's infectious in that sense. So
I think one of the things that's really important is that even if you don't, let's say, convert your friends to smoking cigars, making them understand that it's not some kind of dirty little drug habit. Just explaining why it's a passion for you. That's all that, and they go away thinking, oh, the girl I work with's got a passion for cigars, rather than she's addicted to tobacco. That's a win. They don't have to go off and smoke a cigar, and maybe they get offered one at a drag off one at a wedding in 10 years time, and they think, oh God, I remember that girl I used to work with, she really liked these, and they'll give that a try. That's just a win. Just explaining you don't have to get everyone to take it up, but explaining that it's the same as loving wine or being into Formula One. It's that's a win for me. Just that you don't have to get everyone on a box a week. It's just explaining why it's a passion, so that other people can understand that it's a passion, not a habit, is really important.
Spot on, Karen.
100%.
Excellent remarks, and I should have actually be a little more precise in the way I framed it earlier, because in fact I think you hit the nail on the head. That's the most important, is to share with other people what this really is, what it is all about, and why it's not going to be the most dangerous or deceptible thing that they've ever seen in their life. And then once they have a more pleasant introduction to the whole lifestyle and the community and the culture around it, then I found that they're open to eventually trying for themselves, or they become curious, because that's another thing that a lot of people will realize looking from the outside in is just how tightly knit and how very friendly, open, and welcoming most of cigar people are. And then naturally, you know, as a matter of consequence, I believe you have to be curious and you probably want to be a part of that. But I'm completely with you. It's not about turning anybody into avid cigar lovers. It's about educating them a little bit and informing them as to why this is different to, I don't know, so many other things that have tobacco written on it. Fun little fact, or not fun, but a great comment also in the chat box here from Tom. He said, always have a spare cigar with you that
Yeah.
could suit a novice cigar smoker. I think that's a very cool point,
In
actually.
the box.
Absolutely, Rosalie. Yeah, absolutely. Always have a few spare ones to share with other people, and you'll be surprised as to the experiences you will have and the people you can
I am
meet.
so guilty on that because all my friends who moved in here in Harrogate are always like, come on, we have an event at West Park Hotel. You don't need to smoke. Just come along. Just come and see what we do in the cigar event. And they will actually smoke a cigar and they come back. Not every event, but when they're available, they will always come back because they feel like, even though they are not a regular smokers, they feel like they belong in the community.
Mm.
And the feedback is, it is the most welcoming community that they can ever be in. And I must say, I am one of those who can actually like, yes, that is really true. It's the most welcoming community, personally, on my own experience, most welcoming community that I've ever been in because of cigars, because they don't talk about like, what do you do? We welcome all people from different walks of life, not because you are a lawyer, not because you are, a model, not because you are an influencer. Everyone is welcome in this community. We don't like to like kick off someone else like, no, you cannot afford a cigar because they will not come anyway if they don't like to smoke a cigar. So I must say I'm guilty of that, like trying to convince people, non-smokers. But as I've said, you can try and you can choose whether you continue on or not. And it worked in our community so far. So hopefully it's gonna continue.
I'm sure it will. Maddie, you were very patient and you've had your hand up for a
Oh yeah,
while.
Maddie. Hello,
Thank you,
Maddie.
and thanks for joining and welcome.
Might be on mute.
Yeah, Maddie.
Sorry about that. Hi, guys.
Hey, good to see you.
Hi. Sorry about that.
Hi,
So,
Maddie.
hey, I am so excited about seeing all of us here together. Light 'em Up World is an amazing platform, and they are very supportive to women smokers. I've always come on to chats and been treated completely equally. But so thank you for that, Reinhard, and gentlemen that are always on there. I teach cigar education classes here in Arizona to private and public groups. And one of the points that I wanted to make to that effect is exactly what we're talking about right now is a challenge that I face consistently because I'm often one of the few well, in Arizona, we have a lot of women smokers, but there's a lot of times I walk into a lounge and I'm the only woman. And I have the honor and privilege of, I've moved 20 times. So I've smoked overseas, I've smoked stateside in different states and whatnot. But more to the point, with the cigar education, I encounter people that will say, why should I take your class? I'm not necessarily sure if I really want to smoke a cigar. Or I'll have people that have their spouse or female friend attend them with them at the lounge. And the gentleman might be smoking and the woman's kind of looking on and maybe having a cocktail. And she'll say, I don't know if I really want to smoke or not. And my response is this: when I do my cigar education, I tell them, whether you choose to smoke cigars on a regular basis or not, and if you try it, I'd like to think that they would like it as a form of therapy. It's really important for you to be able to understand or be comfortable in that setting. So simple things like understanding basic cigar etiquette, how to cut and light a cigar, maybe how to actually select a cigar for yourself. Simple things that I learned the hard way. I don't know, some of you may know my story, but just real quick, I was in the Air Force, and once upon a time, I smoked a cigar with some guys that I served with. And not long after, they took me to a cigar lounge, and I was told that women were not welcome there, that it was not a woman's activity. So I didn't smoke for many years. And finally, about 20 years later, when I started smoking again, I was apprehensive because I didn't know. And still, I didn't have people kind of guide me. No one told me not to inhale. I already had seen people doing it. So I was kind of following, like kind of mimicking what other people were doing. So even if people choose not to smoke, if they understand that etiquette, I think it's a great way to form an education base for them to make them feel comfortable. I've had women that attended my class actually say, now I can smoke with my husband and feel comfortable. I don't feel dumb. I'm not embarrassed to ask questions. And one of the points I got from several was I wasn't interested in smoking because I Googled something as simple as women smoking a cigar. And I saw women with cigars between their breasts and between their butt cheeks. And I was like, well, that's not an activity for me. I'm not that kind of person. I don't feel comfortable in that setting. And I was like, well, we don't lick each other's faces in the cigar lounge. Come with me and you'll see that it's quite a delightful activity, that the conversation hits different over a cigar, and that it can be a very therapeutic experience, whether you do it with someone else, a group of people, or by yourself. And so I think these education moments, these conversations with brothers and sisters of the leaf together, kind of understanding where we're coming from, and whether we're a new smoker or a seasoned smoker, that these are kind of some of the things that people encounter. So thank you for your time. And thank you, Lady Aficionadas UK. I'm so grateful to see you guys.
Thank you, Maddie.
Many, many thanks, Maddie. Very good points. Amy, back to you.
Up, and then it went down, and I was like up again, because there's so much that I have to say with the question that you gave. It's a great question. I never actually thought about it until you had just said it. But so as I said, I'm in Egypt. I'm with my sister, and she doesn't smoke cigars, and it's not an interest of hers. But there is so much curiosity now with cigars from her. So in the start, she would be like, I don't know why you smoke cigars, or I don't understand it. And then today, I actually had one of Alexa's cigars at the beach, and I was like, do you mind? She's like, no, definitely go do it. Like, smoke the cigar. I want to smell it. I want to see how different it is to other cigars. And that just blew my mind today, because I was like, there was a point where you didn't even want to know. And it's yeah, the curiosity is there, and it's great. But again, Rosalie, with what you were saying about the Harrogate event, there was one lady there, and bless her, she came with her husband, and she doesn't smoke cigars, and she doesn't really tend to like coming to these
Yeah,
events.
she was in front of us, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. And then I think towards the end, she was just like, you know what, this has been great just to be able to speak to ladies. She was even shocked that there were as many ladies as there were at the event. So yeah, I just thought I'd add that on to what you were saying. It was great to hear from her, who doesn't smoke cigars and doesn't have an interest, but she felt comfortable enough to be there and comfortable enough to come to the next event just because there's more ladies now. And I
Yes,
think that's great.
Yeah, I think we made her feel really welcome. And I think this is coming back to etiquette, isn't it? As a woman attending an event, you must always welcome non-smokers as well, not just the lady smokers. If they are a wife attending an event, make them feel like welcome. Don't make them feel inferior that they don't have a cigar on their hand. It's important, like, oh my God, thank you so much for coming and supporting your husband. This means a lot to us. And honestly, in our cigar events, we have a lot of couples coming. They even now go to holidays together. They don't bring us with them, which I'm jealous, but we are very happy. And that's how a cigar community should be. Non-smokers and smokers should become friends and appreciate each other because the love of cigars, it made them as one.
Bravo. Very good. Rosalie, I know this is still early days for the UK Aficionadas. So I'm sure the whole thing will evolve, and in a years from now, you probably wonder yourself as to, where did this whole thing go, and how did it evolve? But as of now, what are some of the things that you have in mind? What are some of the plans that you're working on? How would you like to grow and evolve this whole thing? Does it go beyond just a community with events and gatherings? Um, Tell us what's in store, or what do you have on the bucket list and your idea list for this beautiful endeavor?
Honestly, with all the energy and the enthusiasm and the love and the genuine feelings of all these ladies, the genuine purpose of the heart of all these ladies who just came together. We are now about 60 plus. Some of them were not able to come to the event, but their heart is there. I'm sure they were cheering like, oh my God, we now finally have the, UK Aficionadas group. There are a lot of plans that we want to realize. You know what I mean? We have plans now that are realistic. We don't like to say, oh, we go abroad, we go global. We can't yet. So we have a lot of plans that I think Amy would like to share to us tonight, because she's one of those who step up. Rosalie, I'll make this one without even me saying it. Amy, you should share, the plans that we have on the list for the group. Do you still have a power there?
I was trying to unmute. You don't know I've relocated because I wanted to smoke a cigar. You guys are making me very jealous. I'm hoping that I'm as close as I can be to the room. Yeah, I think Jenny had touched on a few things of what we want to do. But at the moment, what I'm trying to focus on is, like, the Instagram page is up, it's live. Trying to finalize a logo. I have a lot of ideas. And I'm trying to get as much input as I can from other ladies from the group. We've got that. The membership forms are very nearly done. Slight delay because I'm not in the UK at the moment, but that will get done very soon. The social media pages are done more or less, but I know I need to change the name now. So rebrand. But yeah, it's going to be a good platform to just, move us in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, so saying that, we want to formally organize the group. We already have the organization structure. Who are the people who, we don't have yet the people, but we know we have a lot of ladies there in the group, because I work in the business. So it's gonna be there's a conflict of interest there, but I will be there, pushing up, supporting any ladies who will be able to take the roles that we have in the structure. So we have that structure now. We still have to fill it in, but we already identified a lot of ladies who can actually realize all these plans that we want to do. Obviously, our mission is to empower each woman to be able to create a space for every woman who likes to join the cigar industry, who wants to smoke a cigar, consumer, or anyone who works in the industry. They are welcome in this. They are safe in our environment. We will create sophisticated events. We want to educate ourselves. That includes me and all the members. We will create cigar masterclass. We will create even cigar rolling masterclass. We will have upcycling sessions in the future. And we will talk other things that is related to women. So we will educate, we will create a space, we will support one another. So if you have a business, we will support you. If you have a business in regards to whiskey pairing, we will support you. We'll be there for you. If you are in the perfume industry, that is still related to women, we will support you. It's not related to cigar, but we can definitely help you with that. It's a networking. Women supporting women. That is one of the important goals that we have. And obviously, we want to champion inclusivity. And that is working hand in hand with, cigar distributors, cigar retailers, cigar shops, and cigar lounges in the UK first, because we need to focus first where we are. And although we are so lucky in the UK, I think we need to identify the areas we're in. Oh, they need this one on this part. They need this one on this part. And I think we, in the group that we have now, even though I will not be able to get the role of like always be there because I work full time. Also, I work in the industry. I think, the consumer members in the group, they're already stepping up without even me asking them, without even us asking them. They say, Rosalie, I'm interested to do this. I'm interested to do that. I'm going to help you in this. Like they are just volunteering all the time now. Just like Amy, she's a consumer. She's an aficionada. And she said, Rosalie, I'll do this, I'll do that. I think we are so lucky that, we are in a group of ladies now who are actually like, yes, we all want to make a difference with each and everyone in the group.
And fight the generational ban.
Yes. Actually, Sarah and Karen had another Zoom meeting at 5 p.m. today to discuss the generational ban to exclude the cigars. And we are yet to, be updated on that because the gap between the time wherein we will have a Zoom with the Light Them Up Lounge now, there was no gap at all, isn't it, Karen? There was no gap. Like we're like zoom, 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 like bang, bang, bang. You're muted, I think.
I was going to say,
just got delivered to the smoking shed so that I've got enough food to carry on because there wasn't a gap. So yeah.
Yeah, that we covered a lot of ground. It's an important meeting and it's an important topic. We'll hopefully revisit that at some point. Maybe catch up with you, Reinhardt, on that at some point in the near future. But yeah.
Mace had a comment or a question. So.
Reinhardt, hey, great seeing you, buddy. It's been a while. It's been a few weeks. Glad to see everybody. And I'm glad to come back on this kind of session because it's like, okay, it's like you said, it's a topic that shouldn't be a topic, but it is. So here we are. And I guess I've got a question in terms of just Rosalie and Maddie and everybody else. But so is a group, and I'm trying to just understand it, but are there male participants or is it just women empowering women? Because I'm guessing there's probably a lot of influence and support that men want to be able to give. Can they join, or is it women only who can join Aficionadas?
It will only be a women group, but also be a part of, obviously, we are in the cigar community. So we are a women group empowering women that can make a difference and be able to function around men.
So on that point,
no way that we will be kicking you out. But
I love playing devil's advocate here. So I'm looking at it purely from like, if
they're not ready yet, not for you.
No, that's fine.
You don't have a choice but to stay around cigar community. But we want to have our own exclusive ladies supporting each other and be able to make a difference in the cigar world, in the cigar community where we are in now, and hopefully be able to make a difference also in a wider area if we can. But we have to focus on where we are first at the moment.
Cool. Great answer. And I guess the second part that I wanted to touch on was Ray made a really good comment, and it's one that I wanted to sort of almost pull on that thread a little bit, where he was saying it's probably more so in the UK. Is the issue around the retailers and how retailers treat women, or is it around the consumers and how people outside of the cigar community or outside of the retail world treat women that you see it as, in terms of what needs fixing primarily? Because I'm seeing the education coming from the wider community of people who may not be retailers specifically or work in the industry specifically, understanding, because retailers, how many women do we have in the industry? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm sat here thinking, what is the issue? But I know there is an issue. So I'm just wondering, how do you see it? Do you see it as actually, if we get the consumers to understand that, hey, we're all smokers of the leaf, doesn't matter what sex you are? Or do you feel that there is actually a lot of work to actually still be done within the retail space itself as well?
I think we who are working in the industry, we don't feel as much as, the negative side of it. But I think the consumers themselves, especially when they are not known, they are the ones who feel that. I think Karen would be able to answer that question. With me, I felt also that. So our actually shop is, we have a cigar terrace outside, right? So I don't feel that within my bubble, cigar community, cigar distributors and all that stuff, I don't feel the negative side of it. But the others who are passing by the street, it's either they will flinch or they will not look at me or they will ask in their mind, what is she doing?
Gotcha.
But it never
So-
affected me. I said, I will still do it. And actually, it gained a lot of interest from other women. So I did not took notice of the negative people who are looking at me when I smoke cigars. So I experienced that. However, it did not affect me because I look into it like they are not educated. They don't know what I was doing. Why am I smoking cigars, not cigarettes? So I look at the back that these people, they don't know why. And hopefully they will understand later.
I
But-
mean, most of my negative experience has been like sort of Freudian slips. So someone in Ashholes will say, a new candidate will say, gentlemen, what are we smoking tonight? And I come back and put, and Karen in brackets. And then they're like, oh yeah, sorry, my bad. Kind of, it's that kind of thing. There was a company that started selling cigars in the UK and their website came out as for the discerning gentleman. So I sent them an email and was like, does that mean I can't buy cigars for you? And he was like, oh my God, I can't believe I even wrote that. So most of the time it's not on purpose stuff. And I will always, politely be like, and me.
Karen, you raise a really good point. Yenny, I'm going to come to you really quick, but just Karen kind of led into where I wanted to get to in terms of, do we think in the industry, and when you walk into a shop, let's be honest here, how many, the guys are going to be surprised. There's a woman coming in, fair enough. They shouldn't be surprised, but they are. How much of that nervousness, that shyness, the lack of interaction skills with women actually do we think then plays a bigger role into, listen, actually sort your social skills out? Because it's not about it's just, you know what I mean? I feel like there's probably a huge element of that where guys just would like, how.
Well, for me, the biggest ick is being perved on, I'm afraid, which doesn't really happen in lounges, but does happen in pubs.
There we go.
There's some guys who literally, like salivating at the mouth watching a woman with a cigar. That's the biggest sort of thing that runs through my head when I light up. Am I going to get perved on for this? That's the thing. That doesn't really happen in lounges, but in general pubs, I was this is very, very crass, but the area of London that I used to live in, and people would be like, oh my God, why are you smoking a cigar? And I'd say, and I'd shut it down straight away and be like, because it's the only thing worth putting in my mouth around here. And that shuts it down immediately. But there is a lot of women on social media who are smoking cigars for men's likes, not for women's likes. And unfortunately, they don't help us that much.
Agreed. Yenny.
So okay, I'm gonna share. I'm gonna be real quick, I promise. But I'm gonna share a few data that I've read already made by International Women's Cigar Society, and I think after that I'm gonna explain what I think about it. But they did a survey with more than 500 women, 50% European, 50% America, right? So I'm gonna read a few things only, and I think you will understand what I was talking about before about retailers and knowledge and all these things. So one of them is 79% of women surveyed that they have been frowned upon a female smoker at least once. 75% of them gave examples of discrimination by males customers in tobacco shops. 87% of them had their own humidors, and 90% of them, they said that they prefer to buy in the cigar shop or tobacconists of the area, which means, for me, there is an issue. It's not one odd problem. It's not someone just saying, well, we have an issue, or it's not just one look. These numbers show an issue. It's not just someone saying, well, maybe because I'm a woman and I have experienced this, it's just me. No, there is an issue there. There is numbers to support that. There is a lack of knowledge in marketing relating to cigar industry with women. 80% of them, they don't know what women want or need in a shop. And with that being said, if the 80% of the women who smoke once and they buy in the tobacconists and the retailers, and that retailers or that tobacconist doesn't know or don't treat you with the same equality, maybe you don't go again there. Maybe you don't go again there because you didn't feel comfy, or because you were undermined, or because I think it's a both sides way. So, or either retailers and tobacconists, we need to be, and I've been in both sides. First, I was a consumer, and now I work in the industry, in a retail space, in a cigar lounge. And I've seen both. I experienced when I was a consumer. Of course, I have experience. I have good experience also. It's not all negativity. I have really good ones too. But most of them, in the beginning, when I started, they were, in a negative way. And then when I working as a retailer in La Casa here, for example, I have realized that when I started to work here, there was no women coming to smoke on the lounge. But when they see a woman smoking, they will feel comfy, and you create a safe space for them, like, hey, this is okay. You want to try? Let's go for it. How can I help you? Do you want to try something like this? Have you tried before? Let's do this. Now in my events, for example, my bearing events, that I have 20, because Edinburgh, the cigar community is actually quite small, but having 5, I'm completely happy with it. Of an event of 15 or 20, I'm completely happy with it. And that start with making confident for them.
Love it. Thank you for the stats. My final question, I'm going to put it to you guys just as a group in terms of just where, from an industry perspective, right? Is there a sense of the manufacturing side? Is what's being made, does it fit that wider demographic? Or actually, are we comfortable that, look, what's out there is great. We love what's out there. There's nothing about a lack of cigars for women per se. It's actually when it gets to the retail side. Or are we also saying potentially from a manufacturing side, listen, you're kind of not making this for everybody? Is that an issue, or are we actually happy with the cigars that are produced? We're all good with it. It's not that.
I don't really think there is a cigar for women, or women for, I think, and I really don't think that it should be a cigar for the women. We are already making a statement there if we started to do that. So for me, that's not the way to see it. This way I see it, and I think that it should be cigars for everybody. And there is one single cigar for every single one of us. And you shouldn't decide making a cigar because you're a woman, because that means that, and you already put in an example that there's no completely right setting this kind of segmentation. I don't believe that should be an issue. What I believe is that in the marketing, for example, kind of experience and the way they are, maybe sometimes, I don't know, the way they, I don't know what they say, public PR with the cigars and things could be maybe a better job. Yeah, maybe. But a cigar made for women, I don't think that's it.
I did have a little conversation with Scott once about pay disparity between women and men. So obviously in the UK, we earn 12% less than men, therefore we're paying 12% more for all our cigars, kind of thing, because we are earning less. But Nicaragua is actually 9th in the world at pay equality, would you believe? 9th in the world, pay equality between men and women. And I was like, do you know what? If there was a badge, logo, stamp, like Fair Trade Bananas, equal pay cigars, I would gravitate to those brands being a woman 100%. I'm not saying that, it's just something that ran through my head. Like, I would love to know that a male roller and a female roller at this brand are being paid the same. That would be awesome to me. I know, sorry, that's a little bit feminist, and sorry if I just went a little bit political for a minute, but it's something that runs through my head every now and again.
Thank you so much, guys. Look, hey, like I was saying at the beginning, in terms of the group, it's for women, it's empowering women, and whatever we guys can do to help that, we're so happy to join that fight and just seriously get this whole taboo nonsense that, cigars are for men or whatever we can do to help out with that, more power to you guys. So yeah, Reinhard,
Thank you.
great show tonight.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the fight.
Thank you.
Oh no, yesterday, I have to make an example yesterday. One of our members in the group, she's been smoking about 3 to 5 months. And she found a place in our WhatsApp group to send a message like, this is the ring gauge that I am wanting to smoke. And she said, do you think this one will be appropriate for me to smoke
She was
around?
apprehensive, yeah.
Remember, she was a little bit like apprehensive.
Are people going to stare at me?
Sarah, Becky from Barkers of Harrogate actually provided a really good answer for her. And she actually said, I'm actually confident to smoke this cigar, despite the fact that it is quite a big ring gauge. And I was quite surprised about that because a lot of men will say, he is smoking a big cigar. And they would obviously, to be honest, some will always think that in a different way. But she decided, I actually smoked this one, and she took it on, and he messaged us like, I actually enjoyed this ring gauge, this size of cigar, and was like, that was a really good advice for her. It's either you leave it or you smoke it or be proud of it. And she was proud of it.
But she just needed the reassurance of the group.
The reassurance from us.
Exactly.
So yesterday was an example wherein we actually provided a space for women how to feel comfortable. And thank you for Sarah and Karen and Becky yesterday for giving that advice to her, because that is just what she needed at the time.
I think it's absolutely remarkable to see and to share such a wonderful conversation, first of all, as we're doing today. And I want to thank all of you for your very important, very valuable, and truly considerate feedbacks and inputs. It's greatly appreciated. And not only do I personally take it to heart, but I think everybody here should do that, and always be cognizant of how welcoming and inclusive we are, not just towards men or women, but truly everybody, no matter where we come from, what we believe in, what our color of skin is, our sex. A cigar is the one thing that brings us all together, and we should remind ourselves every single time that we light up a cigar. So it's been truly a privilege to share this wonderful evening with you all, and it should be self-explanatory, but just to also mention it for all of you joining us here tonight, if it's the first time that you're with us, please be most cordially invited to join us. We're always here on Wednesday. We try to make it a very open, friendly, and warm and welcoming place for everybody. And Maddie was very kind to sort of refer to that and mention it. So thank you for that. But please consider this your home also. It's your lounge. It's for all of you. And if we can send a message to the world of unity, then I'm a very happy cigar enthusiast. So please consider it your home week after week, and join us whenever you can. And let us know, whether it's men or women, let us know what we can all do better for each other as a global community and as a cigar family. And I know that this conversation extends far beyond the question of whether it's a man or a woman enjoying a cigar, but it's truly about being careful and caring with each other towards one another. And the cigar, I hope, can always be a reminder for that. So again, many, many thanks for you. We will, of course, keep the lounge open for all of you to stay on and enjoy your cigars and enjoy the conversation. But I just wanted to sort of officially thank everybody for joining us tonight. And what a great experience it has been. Rosalie, thank you so much for putting this together with me, and to every single one of you, all the ladies, all the members of UK Aficionadas. Kudos to you and much love to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Reinhard, for giving us this time.
With great, great pleasure. And
And-
Rosalie, let's make it a point that not too far away in the future, whether it's for the first anniversary or the half-year mark, no matter what it is, please come back on, and we would love to hear and see how things are evolving and what's cooking. I want to hear about the first anniversary party that you guys were throwing. So we'll make this a regular installment, okay?
Thank you very much, and we will always support you. And thank you so much for
No,
supporting.
likewise.
And,
We're here for you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
one
you
thing
very
that I
much.
also wanted
Yeah.
to mention, let's not forget, I haven't said it during this show, but I wanted to bring it up again and mention it. My hat goes off to Sarah as well, who has for such a long time paved the path truly for initiatives like this one here. So Sarah, thank you very much for being such a wonderful role model in that sense, and everything you do. It's most greatly appreciated. And what I would also like to add is anybody out there, no matter where you are around the world, we need more of this. So let's make sure that there are not only the UK aficionados, but hopefully soon the Austrian aficionadas and the statewide aficionados in all of the US states. I think we need much more of that to be visible and vocal, and then at some point, hopefully we can all say we're truly one. So thanks everybody again. It was wonderful to have you. Light them up, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.